Good morning, friends. It is actually Monday morning. I didn't want to film like my final clips yesterday because I had some things I wanted to think about how I wanted to talk to you about into Word. So I'm putting this at the front of this vlog for reasons. If you're not here for this, you're just here for the Neon Genesis reaction, here's your timestamp for that. But I really need to address what is going on with the reading rush and where I stand with it. So I will no longer be participating in any of the reading rush readathons. This is my final one forever. Over and over, the hosts have shown that though they're trying to build a great community, they're doing a lot of really insensitive things. In this readathon alone, they chose a book by a Black author as the book club book, and both proceeded to not read it and then joke about it in their live stream. I had a couple of people who were white intentionally darkening their skin and cosplaying as black people for a recreate the book cover challenge, and I didn't like how that felt. It's one thing to pay homage to a book that you love, that you think is important. And the thing is, they did this with The Hate You Give, but intentionally darkening your skin to recreate the book cover felt wrong. And they chose it as one of their winners. I mean, it's one thing if someone did it, but for the hosts to actually choose someone who is intentionally darkening their skin, like, that just feels wrong and icky. I mean, I don't think you have to change your skin color if you're going to cosplay something. I mean, what would that be saying to all of our beautiful women of color who cosplay like Sailor Moon and stuff? Like, it's okay to cosplay something that's not necessarily your race or gender, in my opinion, but it's how you do it. And this was done very insensitively, and it still won, and that felt wrong. It felt icky, and that's just in this readathon alone. And then they did put out an apology, but it wasn't really an apology. It's just, we're sorry if we hurt your feelings. Rather than, what we did was wrong, we should not have done that, we should have made this book a priority. Like, it's just, I was really upset by a lot of it. And so I will no longer be participating. I know there was stuff that happened in the April reading rush as well, but I didn't participate in that one, so I didn't speak up then. And I'm like, okay, they might have just been weird because of quarantine, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and go for it one more time. A lot of people were really enraged about the reading outside challenge as well. Thankfully for me, I have a job where it's not in my home, and I could do that challenge, so that one didn't faze me as much as it fazed some others, but I know it was insensitive to a lot of people, especially who live in bigger cities where going outside is really tough right now. So with that said, let's get into the rest of the vlog. Hello friends, and welcome to the final vlog for the Reading Rush 2020. So today is day 7, and once again, it took me a while to get to sleep last night, so I did get some additional reading done. I did finish Spells for the Dead by Faith Hunter. I was not quite expecting how things wrapped up in the end, but I'm so glad they wrapped up the way they did. The way that this case wraps up, we actually get more answers about Nell and her powers, and that just had me thriving, and I loved that so very much. And again, her Catman is the best. I love her Catman so much. And she's also got a really interesting family dynamic in this series. Well, she was basically raised in a polygamist-centered religion, and she broke out of that pretty young because, like, the leader of their people was trying to force her to become one of their concubines when she was like 12 or 13. Because basically in their culture, once a woman has their period, or a teen girl has their period for the first time, they're fair game to the rest of the sect. But her parents went and bargained with people who lived off the church property to take her in and protect her, and they did the best that they could for her in their situation. But anyways, it's really interesting. So the family dynamic is interesting because, you know, they assume she's a devil woman because she has these wood sprite kind of powers, and it's so cool. It's really interesting. I don't want to say too much more because that'll end up spoiling plots for the earlier books. But anyhow, Nella's fantastic. I love her Catman, and I really loved how this played out. I loved how her family dynamic played out. I loved how this case played out. It's one of the more gruesome cases that we've seen in the series, in my opinion. But it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm giving this 4.5 stars. I can't quite give it 5. There's some things in there that I'm just like, not quite. But anyways, I really enjoyed this, and I wish it were smutty. Like, that's my only complaint about it. I mean, it's definitely like fade to black and alludes to things, but man, like, I wish it were smutty. I would just thrive on it, even that much more. So 4.5 stars, highly recommend. And then I still wasn't quite tired, so I did start an e-arc, and I was actually able to finish it. It was A Cowboy for Keeps by Laura Drake. This one's out on Tuesday. I was going to hurry and blitz through it tomorrow if I didn't get to it during the readathon. I should have done that instead of reading Alien Smut, but Alien Smut was fun. And this is a really sweet enemies to lovers. In this one, we have a man and a woman who both lose their siblings in a car crash. And there is a child that they had together. They weren't married, but there was a child that was made of the relationship, and both the parents died. And so we have the sister of the sister and the brother of the brother, relatively, trying to take care of their niece. And our girl gets to the baby first because they contact her first because the baby has her sister's last name, and so she gets the contact for that. But once the uncle finds out about it, he very much wants to make this baby the one thing in his life because all of his family has died now. He's the only one left. He has this big empire, big ranching money kind of a thing, and it's so good. It's so well done. I really enjoyed the way the enemies to lovers played out, and the big conflict was put in a way that wasn't necessarily obnoxious, but it made sense for how things had played out throughout the novel, and it was just really good. I highly recommend it. Giving it a solid 4, and I really like are they called the Chestnut Creek books? But this is like the 3rd book in the series. The first one was my least favorite because it's an accidental pregnancy trope, and I just don't love those tropes. Some people thrive on them. I'm not one of them. But book 2 and 3 were both really solid. Didn't have the accidental pregnancy trope thing going for it. So anyways, from here, April's live stream started just as I was about to start making this video. So I'm going to put it up here on my laptop and start my reread of Neon Genesis Evangellion, because this is going to be today's focus. We're going to read the entire series, and then the reading rush will be over, and we'll do a final wrap-up. So I will share my thoughts as I feel I need to with this one. Because it's a reread, I might just be sucked in and just enjoying. I hope I'm able to communicate better with you guys, but we'll see how this goes. I forget how big of a prick early on Shinji's dad is. I mean, like, he immediately throws him in an Eva and says, "You're gonna go find that monster that you just about died from outside." And, like, I just forget how big of a dick he is. I just can't even with this dad. Like, it just pisses me off sometimes. But you're not supposed to like him, so that's okay. Anyways, yes. diving back in. Okay, so I just finished what would be the equivalent of volume 1 of 3 out of this omnibus, and I forget how much Shinji just wants his dad's approval sometimes. And it's just put together so well, and Misato is a great character for Shinji. She's kind of a pseudo mother figure, but she's definitely on that friend level status because she's not that much older than him as well. And so I just really like their dynamic from the get-go. Like, Misato's just a really likable character. I just really, really like her. But yeah, the first Eva battle, there's something in particular that happens within that, and I had forgotten. And now that I know by the end kind of how certain things are, like, that piece of information makes a lot more sense now. Because before I was just like, well, I don't get it, but now I do. And it's fantastic. I really like that. Like, that made a lot more sense to me this time, and I really enjoyed that. So, gonna dive right back in. Okay, we're officially 2 volumes in now, and this volume, forgot to mute April. This second volume of the 15 really cements the relationship between Shinji and Misato, and we meet our little penguin friend, Pen Pen, and Pen Pen is best boy. I love Pen Pen. The way all of that plays out is really interesting, and we also get to know Shinji's friends that he makes at school. Even though they were razzing him in the beginning, he really, like, they've settled into a really nice friendship after a particular experience in that second volume. So yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. I'm just kind of getting sucked into it. I'll try to stop at least at the end of each volume for you guys so I can give you at least bare bones thoughts. But if I just get to a point where I'm just enjoying it and I don't have too much to say because I'm still just enjoying it, I may not say too much, and it might just be kind of aesthetic. I don't know. I haven't figured this out yet, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to watch this a little bit longer while I read the 3rd volume, and then I'll move back into the bedroom and get comfy. All right, Volume 3 and Omnibus 1 are complete. So when it comes to watching the anime, I have only watched what's in this first omnibus, content-wise. I am hoping to watch a little more of that later today. But yes, I definitely am still enjoying things. We get to know Rei a lot more in this portion, or Ayanami. It's definitely one of those things where the introduction of her at that point makes sense later in the series. But she's also the other Eva pilot right now, and so she's definitely an important part of the story. And the whole Eva program is really interesting. It's still kind of magnanimous, other than they're there to fight the angels, and can't give away too much, obviously, because a lot of people who will watch these probably haven't read this. But Shinji's character makes so much sense to me. He's not the most likable protagonist, and you have to respect him for that because of his upbringing and because of who his parents are and the time he's had with it. So, still continuing to enjoy it. I'm going to dive into the second omnibus now. April's stream is still going, so I'm going to read a little bit longer with that playing, and then I'll go get comfy in the other room. But yes, let's keep going. Alright, so Volume 4 of Neon Genesis Evangellion is officially complete. We now have met Asuka. Basically, that volume was her introduction, and she's a character I've always had a love-hate relationship with, and I still kind of feel that way right now. I feel like she's so spoiled that I just struggle with her.
So, but the whole way her and Shinji have to work together, that's always really fun to read. I think it's part of what adds to Shinji's character and helps you like him a little bit more, even though he's still not the most likable protagonist. He's still just a lost teenage boy, and you see that a little bit more in this one, and you even see that with Asuka. So it's really well done, well handled. I still really enjoy the series as a whole. And April's just finishing up her picture, and then from there, I'm going to move into the bedroom and keep reading because I still have 10 volumes of, well, there's 14 volumes, so I have 10 volumes of manga left to go today. And then we have our live show in 3 hours. So we'll see how much I get read in the 3 hours before the live show. Okay, so I just finished the 5th volume of Neon Genesis Evangellion. And in this one, we're learning a lot more about the nerve program and what it actually means and represents. And we get to know Keiji a little bit more as well. He came along with Asuka, and yeah, it's still enjoyable, still very political, and, you know, I've still got one more volume to go in this omnibus, so let's go get it. I forgot how much the end of volume 6 sucks. I just get so sad every time I read it, because I'm so attached to certain characters at this point, and we lose one of said characters. And I just, I'm always so sad when I read that part. I'm so in my feelings about it. It's not even funny. Okay, volume 7 complete. And with that, not only do we get some info that was needed, but we also have a moment where the Eva has taken over, is all we'll say, for vague purposes. And the way all of that goes down is really interesting, especially considering how I remember this ending. Like, that makes so much more sense to me now. So, anyways, yes, that is kind of my update. Finished volume 7, still enjoying it. Also enjoying the Forest app. It's something I downloaded recently. And I'm just planting trees and doing some reading. And yeah, diving into volume 8 now. So I read volumes 8 and 9 since we last talked. There's severe ramifications for the end of volume 7. And we come across that. And we lose a character. And we get a new character. And this new character that we get has always grated on me. They've always just rubbed me the wrong way. And the overall tone of the story drastically changes after volume 7, where it goes even darker and more full of despair, I guess is the easiest way to kind of put it. And this is a series that isn't gonna be for everybody because of where it goes. And from what I've heard, the anime and the manga do not end the same way. I'll be interested to see when I get that far. But yeah, I still like the series, but it is a hard one to read. Because it's a reread, it's going pretty quickly for me. I can probably get the next omnibus in before the live show, and then I'll just have the last omnibus for after the live show. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on that and plant some more trees. Okay, so volume 10 is very much an info dump of kind of the last major information we're going to need for the rest of the series. And these are vital pieces. I think there is one more small info dump, but this whole volume is basically an info dump with a little bit of emotional turmoil thrown in as well. So, yeah, very informational. I still hate Shinji's dad, the commander. He's a douche, Canoe. I hate him a lot. Just finished volume 11. We're now kind of coming into the final arc, obviously, now that the angels are taken care of to an extent. We're now dealing with the government deciding that they're done with the project and they want to just kill everybody on sight. so that it's never thought of or brought up again and just kind of buried under everything. So that's what's happening, and, you know, government conspiracy, secret societies. It's part of the story. So I intend to read the last volume, and then it'll be time to get ready for the live show, because I still need to put on a little bit of makeup and set up my lights and stuff. So, yes. So I'm hoping to have this done in the next 20 to 25 minutes, and then we will do the live show, and then we will come back and finish the final omnibus after that. All right, and we have completed volume 12. So, yes, these apocalyptic end of the world kind of stories always give me a lot to think about. And this one in particular, we've lost so many characters that you grow attached to that it's always just a little tough. And, you know, we've only got 2 volumes left, so we're right here in the end, in the final battle, final countdown kind of scenario. And it just feels so desperately hopeless. And then you have 1 or 2 characters who try to infuse that hope back in you. There's a beautiful chapter with Asuka and her mother, like thoughts about her mother at least. And it's fantastic. It's really well done. And I love it a whole lot. And yeah, so I've got 1 more omnibus to go, but I also got a live show to do. So I'm going to go get set up, put on a little bit of makeup, and I will chat with you guys in a while. Alrighty, so we just wrapped on the Tell It Again live show. So say hi to the vlog, April. Oh, I guess they can't hear you. I'm wearing headphones. Say it again. Say hi again. Hi. So yes, we had a good discussion. Woo! You're wiggly. Sorry, people. So yes, we had a good discussion. So go back and watch it if you haven't, and say hi to Gigi on the back of my phone here.
Don't normally get to see that side of your phone.
It's true. Most people don't, unless they're like in life with me. So yeah, it's really interesting. All right, say bye to the people. Okay, so I just finished Neon Genesis Evangelion, the manga. I know the manga ends differently than the anime, but I still appreciate where they're coming at from the end of this manga and the way that they go about it. I really just enjoy the journey that is this series. I don't always love the characters. I don't always love the decisions certain characters make, but I can always understand and respect those decisions. So I'm gonna like chill out for a little bit, eat some food, and then we'll wrap everything up for the day, and I will get you guys this final vlog. All right, friends, so here we are at the end of this vlog, and as you know by the beginning, I've already kind of stated how I feel about things. This is Monday morning, and I'm doing my wrap-up. I was really tired yesterday, and I did not want that to affect this vlog. I am a little tired this morning as well, but I want to get this vlog up to you guys. So we're going to start with the manga that I read this week and the graphics, and then we'll get into the books because I have a lot of digital books, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So we'll start with the things I can easily move out of the way. So first up, I did read all of Neon Genesis Evangelion in this vlog. I did enjoy my reread of this.
I guess I never really gave a proper description of what this was. So in this one, we're following a teenage boy named Shinji, and Shinji, he'd spent a lot of time away from his father, and if his father invites him into where he's working, and he's basically recruited to drive this robot, essentially, and it's a big mecha-style robot, and he does it to defeat the angels and save the world. So that's kind of the bare bones basic premise of this. It's so much more. It's much deeper, much more emotional, much more character driven than that, but it's still really well done. I still really enjoy it, and there is movies and anime series based on this, and that's why I chose this challenge. This is my like book to movie adaptation thing. That challenge, I guess you could say. And then I read White Sand Volume 3. This was for the first book that I touched. And I did give a proper description in the blog where I read this, but I'll quickly do that again. Essentially, in this series, we're following a young man named Keaton, who is essentially just trying to save his race of sand mages. And it's very politically charged, very politically driven. Really enjoyed it. We love Sanderson. This is the final installment, but I think the last page that leaves you on kind of a cliffhanger will definitely tie in to other parts of the Clasimere, so that's still very important to read. Next up was just an extra one that I was able to read this week, and that is Yuzu the Pet Vet Volume 2. This is just cute adorableness that takes an opportunity to educate kids on how to take care of animals. It's really well done, really good, really love it, adorable art. Yuzu's really sweet. She is young, she's like 11. So this is definitely geared towards a younger audience. This would totally be okay for kids to read. So we have Blank Canvas Volume 5, which is another extra one that I threw in this week. This is the final installment in Blank Canvas. It was beautiful. Basically, this whole series is autobiographical and a love letter to her sensei that she lost. And yes, it's so good. I love it. Another extra one I was able to throw in this week was Living Room Matsunaga-san Volume 3. This is technically a reread. I read it in physical form for the first time. This is an age gap romance. I'm reading this as an adult woman, enjoying it as fiction. I would not necessarily recommend this series for teens, as the age gap is at least 10 or 11 years, possibly 12 or 13. I can't remember how old Miko is. I want to say she only has 1 year left of high school, but I don't remember for sure. Anyways, I still really enjoy it, but again, this is an adult woman reading it, not a teenage girl reading it. I wouldn't want my teenage daughter to necessarily read the series, because that would be encouraging that to happen before she's legal, and that's not okay. All right, and this one I did for a challenge. This was for the challenge of reading something outside my house. I mentioned things about that earlier. I read Volume 3 of Phantom Tales of the Night. I read this at my workplace, so I was safe inside, indoors, taking care of myself as I read this. This series is so good. We got a lot more information on some of our side characters in this particular volume, specifically the spider. I really like the spider. I really want the spider. Anyways, it was really good. I still enjoyed it, and yes. Then we have The Reckless Ride by Stephanie Lawrence. I read this one for one with my birthstone on the cover, because I am an August baby. My birthday's Saturday, and this one is obviously that light green peridot kind of color. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I really liked a lot about it, but it also did some things very wrong. Consent was very murky, so I couldn't give it more than that. So then we have A Heart of Blood and Ashes. I'm using this for the challenge of something that takes place on a continent not where you live. Obviously, this is a fantasy romance in which we follow Maddox, and Maddox has lost both of his parents, and he has revenge on the mind. And when the neighboring kingdom princess basically approaches and said, I want my throne, my father won't give it to me, help me get it. He's like, this will get revenge on him. Yes, let's do it. So it's fantastic. I really love it. The way that they grow and come together is really beautiful. I really enjoyed this. Solid 4 stars. Maybe 4.5. No, 4. And then we have Hunting for a Highlander by Lindsay Sands. This I used for the challenge of reading something in a genre you want to read more of, which is historical / Highlander romances. Both of those things are things I want to read more of. And in this one, we're following Lady Dwin, who is doing everything she can to protect her family from the neighboring laird who wants to take over her lands. And she ends up going to the Buchanan Keep and basically pranced around for the Buchanan boys But the one who really wasn't looking to get married at all was Jordy, and Jordy has a chance encounter with Dwyn, and they really just hit it off. They're so cute. I really love them. It's fantastic. And then we have A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. If you want to hear my full thoughts on this, check out the live show that April and I did. And yes, we had thoughts. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. Basically, we were both left wanting more by the end of this novel. It was fine, but we just wanted more. I felt like this book needed another 50 to 100 pages to slow down the pace a little bit and to flesh out the characters a little bit more and their relationships together. Rather than being like, oh, we've been hanging out and training together for a year after they've just met. You know, it was a big time skip, and that didn't sit very well with us. And then I ended up reading Spells for the Dead by Faith Hunter. This book is fantastic. It's technically out tomorrow. My bookstore had it early, and I had an early e-copy as well. I did read my e-copy rather than my physical one, just because these mass markets, they're pretty tight. They don't fold open easy, so I just read my ebook of it. But this series, the Soulwood series, is fantastic. We follow a woman named Nell, who had an interesting upbringing, and from that she has paranormal powers, and she is doing everything in her power to solve crimes with it once she joins the Psi-led unit in, I think it's Nashville? They're in like Kentucky or Tennessee somewhere. I don't remember. Something like that. They're in that general area where it's kind of the South, but not exactly the South. But it's really good. I really enjoy the series. This installment is probably my favorite just because we get more about Nell's specific powers in this one, which have always been kind of elusive to everybody other than her discovering her own. But in this one, we actually encounter someone with her powers, and it's fantastic. I really enjoy it. Love it a lot. Let's get into the digital stuff. But you're on top of it, so hold on. All right, so we're going to start up with Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. This one is a follow-up to Natalie Tan and Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune. In this one, we're following Vanessa. Vanessa's a character that I felt was a lot more likable than Natalie Tan. And the setting's Paris, it's centered around food. It's so good. It's really good. I really enjoyed how everything came together. It is kind of a coming-of-age / romance. It probably falls a little more under women's fiction than actual romance, but it was still really well done, and I really liked it. Then we have The Thunder Between Us, The Thunder Between Us. And this one, however, did not hit very well with me. I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars. And in this one, I really just kind of struggled with a lot of the choices that our character was making. It was a very frustrating read. I read a lot for escapism, and this one felt too real, almost. So this isn't necessarily the book's fault. This one's my fault. I would read something else by the author. I believe her name was Nicole Blades, and see if that one hit a little better. But this particular story was not one that I liked, and the character was really hard to love. I read Barbarian Lover by Ruby Dixon. This is the 3rd book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I really like this series. It's a lot of fun. There is an issue with infertility within this novel. I don't think it's handled in the most sensitive of ways. So just be prepared for that, and I think you'll do okay. But this one's a lot of fun. Essentially, we're following a group of women who were kidnapped from Earth, and were going to be sold into sex slavery, essentially. And they crash land on a planet, and these blue giant men who are all Ridgy end up saving them, and they fall in love with members of their race. It's really cute. I really like it. And that one I gave 3.5 stars. And then we get into more alien smut. I read Pain and Row from the Warriors of Phaeton series. I really loved this. This is a trio style story where it's a male-female relationship, but mostly it's just the males doting over the female. You don't really see the males together in that way. We'll put it that way. I really loved this. I really liked Indigo as a character, and it was just really well done. I really like it. And then we get into the Miners of Jaromir, I think is what I want to say the series. It's a spin-off of the Warriors of Phaeton series. So essentially it's another race of aliens that are compatible with humans, and they're finding their mates that way because their women are dying off. So the first book in the series is called Khor, Khor, and it follows the leader of the biggest city on Jaromir, who helped save a group of humans who were essentially tricked by a handler in the US. They thought they were going to be going to Phaeton, and they were going to be auctioned off instead. Khor ends up saving them along with some of the Phaeton warriors, and they end up on Jaromir, and so they're seeing if they are compatible with their race, and they are. And the first one is Khor and Juniper, and they're really cute. I really like them. Another solid 4. And then we have Sparks, which is another in the Miners of Jaromir series. He leads one of the other cities on Jaromir. There's basically 3 major series. He leads one of them, Khor leads one of them, and then the next leader is the next book, which I have on my Kindle. I'll read soon, but I haven't read it yet. And it was so fun. He ends up with a very plus-size curvy woman, and watching their interactions, he calls her Tiny because these are big, giant kind of humanoid men. And so he calls her Tiny, and he's afraid he's going to break her. And she's like, "You call me Tiny?" Like, it's really sweet how they deal with the plus-sized issue of that. I enjoyed that a lot. And again, I gave that one a solid 4. It was really good. I just liked it. No, there's just one more, and I believe it's called A Cowboy for Keeps. It's the latest Laura Drake book. I will leave that here. And I really loved this. I did talk about it earlier in this vlog, and the way that these two go from enemies to lovers is really interesting and really sweet to watch. So I highly recommend checking out the series. Books 2 and 3 I've really enjoyed. I didn't love the trope in the first one, so that one was not my favorite. But I really like the writing. Laura Drake is great, and I will be picking up more Laura Drake as I find it. So, all right, guys, that's the wrap up here. I know it was kind of long, but I did read a lot this week, and I thought you guys would like a quick sum up of everything I read real quick. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'm really sorry that I won't be participating in future, because I've always loved watching all of the daily vlogs and participating in it. Since I started BookTube, it'll be almost 5 years ago now. Yeah, I'll be on BookTube 5 years in September. That's crazy. Anyways, so yes, I really just enjoyed my reads this week, and that's the important part. And I will be participating in other readathons, and I will do daily vlogs for those. Typically when I do Manga Love, when I do the shorter ones, I do them daily. So I'll continue to do that. And maybe even for the week-long ones, even if I don't read a lot, I'll do some daily stuff. So, I don't know. We've got some time before the next round of Manga Love. I thought about doing a birthday edition, but I opted out of that because this was happening so soon. I didn't want to overwhelm people. So, anyways, I love you all. Thank you all for your love and support. I will see you guys in my next video.